Okay, we are doing Zera Shimshon on Parshas Vayeira. I have selected to do the ninth piece, entry tests. But Pasuk, the Pasuk Hashem Marach, Mchase Avram, Vachar Horbo, the Hakosh says, can I hide from Avram what I'm going to do? To stone. Avram is such a tzaddik, and he's going to have a great nation. He's going to command his kids to follow in my ways. And then, of course, after that says, Zaka, stone Valmora. All right, so now, why did the Torah take a detour? Of course, who takes a detour and says, after saying, I can't hide from Avram, he said, Avram's a great guy. He's going to command his kids to follow my derech. Okay, then he goes, I'm going to destroy stone. Why the detour? Talk about Avram Vinu's virtue and how he's going to command his children to follow in his ways. That's the question that Zera Shimshon wants to deal with. So listen, the people of Sodom and Amor who were in Avram Vinu's territory, they were bad, because they lacked Tachnosis Orchim. That was one of their big sins, was to outlaw hospitality, and then if someone gave hospitality, to torture the guests. Well, this is the antithesis of Avram Avinu, was very, very careful and very conscientious about this. So, Avram Avinu, you might think, well, listen, Stone is on Avram Vinu's turf, right? They're not good Achnosis Orchim, but he is good in Achnosis Orchim. Maybe Avram Vinu, since they are on his turf, his schus will protect them, because what they're doing wrong, he does right, and his schus should protect them. The pregnant time is we find the third pregnant is Achzil Rava, the Rava they showed Rava in a dream. It's that coming guy, so the Akula Karcha. They told Rava that his schus was protecting his whole city. Vogsiv, and also the pasuk says, Tzaddik Yisod Olam, the tzaddik is the foundation of the world. So listen, Stone is on Avrinu's turf, and let his schus therefore protect them, because what they're doing wrong, he does right. לכן אמר הכוסוב, אינו מדין שחסדי אברהם אשר ליוסף, והרי גם הוא יסכים עמי, או ואברהם גורג שלום, והיינו הגרים שהכניס תחת כף השכינה, וכל גרות שאכלו ושוסו, היו אומרים ברוך אברהם, שאכלנו משלו, ועם כל זה כסיב, כי ידע, ועד שבא ברוב לעשות סוק המשפט, כאשר שהיה לו, רק למשפט לצדקה, כסיב, וידע בכל טוב משפט לצדקה. ודאי לא דיינו שמחשב סערו מתחילה הישראל ליתן להם בתור סטוקה, אך בתנאי שהתגיירו, אבל אם לא היו רוצים לסגור מדי להם במשפט. Man yev kofar b'madbar, man yev chamra b'madbar. Right. So now what he wants to, again, the paragraphs are not broken up in the best possible way. What Avram was saying is that how could I hide from Avram what I'm going to do? Avram Vinu will for sure agree with me. Because why would Avram Vinu agree with him? Because what does it mean? Avram, right? He's going to be a huge nation. It doesn't just refer to his biological children, but Avram was making converts, right? He, the Rambam writes in Hilchos Avodas Kochavim, Avram had, he had revivals, he had tens of that. He had a huge, successful ministry, right? So now, how did Avram Vinu, what was his modus operandi? How was he makar of people? He gave them hospitality services, right? So now he says a cute thing, right? He says Avram Vinu is also going to command his kids to do the same thing, to continue, giving hospitality service, because after people, enjoyed his hospitality, they used to bless Avram. When said, "Don't bless me, bless Hashem." Right? That's how he was makar. That was his modus operandi, right? Right. He's going to now, of course, he's going to carry on this kiruv method. He's going to command his kids to continue in this outreach of offering hospitality, to do tzedakah u'mishpat, to do charity and justice. Now, of course, the two go together, but here's an interesting order: charity and justice. Whereas by David Melch it says, David Oseb Mishpat Utzaka, he does justice and charity. So by David it's Mishpat Utzaka, charity and justice. I mean, rather justice and charity by David. Justice and charity, which kind of makes sense. First lay down the law, and then for people, and then do beyond, beyond the line of the law, for those who need it. But of course, you lay down the law, and then you do tzedakah for those who need it, right? But by Avram, he's going to command you to do tzedakah, charity and justice. So by David, it's justice and then charity, which these Shimshon says is logically the best way. First, establish law and order, and then give extra for those who need it. Now, it was tzedakah u'mishpat, no, charity and then justice. Why? Right? Because that's exactly what Avram Avinu did. Like a guy comes to his tent, right, and he needs a hot meal and needs a place to rest. So Avram Avinu, of course, initially gives it as charity, tzedakah. But then he says, okay, right now I gave you charity. Now I expect you to convert to monotheism. All right. The guy doesn't want to. So, hey, you don't want to? Then pay. Pay for your meal. Right? Pay for your meal. Right? Don't thank me, thank God. They say, okay, well, they don't want to thank God. So Avram Avinu says, wait a minute, then pay for your meal. All right, so Avram Avinu, after he gives them charity, he demands justice. Listen, I did you a favor to make you aware of God. Now acknowledge God. And so he does charity and then judgment. Say, hey, you're not going to acknowledge God, then pay me for the meal. If you don't want to thank God, you don't want to accept that God created everything and God is the one who gave you the meal. If you want to accept God, then pay me if you're not accepting God. So he went from charity to justice. That's his modus operandi. Initially gives the food as charity, and then he demands justice if they don't want to be makir teiva to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Right? Vavkan. Oh, so now let's bring it now to stone. Right? So Avram Avinu does tzedakah u'mishpat, right? With all the people he's makarev, and he would command his kids also to do tzedakah u'mishpat, give it as charity, but then take them to account if they don't want to acknowledge HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So Avkan Kishurisi Zakostov Amor Rabba Volech Svein or Bahem Shum Tikva Taiva, and also Mishpat. Right, so now also I see the cry coming up from stone, right? That they don't, no one, there's no good hope for them. Nothing good's going to come out of them. So Coach says, I want to take them to account. I want to mete out justice. Now the merit of Avram is not going to help to save stone. Okay, right? Rak lemana v'yashav Avram, mish dom Avram yochal mischusa, mish enos mais Avram. Lo yochal mischuso mishumachi oivsik batam psukim elu. Right. All right. So so he says like this. The schus of Avram will extend to people who want to imitate Avram. Right. Right. So people who do tzedakah u'mishpat, right? So if you do tzedakah u'mishpat, right? So like the children of Avram, you'll enjoy all the goodness that I put upon Avram. They don't want to do any tzedakah at all, so they get stuck with mishpat alone. These are my words, but it's what he's alluding to. They don't have. HaKadosh wants to bring them b'mishpat, right? Because mishpat alone. Avram Avinu, his kids after him will get the same preferential treatment and will enjoy his schus. You want to enjoy the schus of your forefathers, you have to be like your forefathers, at least try to be like your forefathers. Like Prophet always say, Maseh Agilu, Maseh Avosai, Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, even if it's a high goalpost to make, it's a high bar meant to say. But you got to try. So if you try, so the schus, hangs over, extends you because you're trying to follow that derech. They're not interested in doing any type of tzedakah whatsoever. So you're going to only get the mishpat, even though those are not the words he says, but it's my words. because it just stims with the way he says. Kosh wants to do mishpat with them. They're not going to be saved from Avram Vinu's schus, even though they live in his turf, they live in his environs, like Rav Schus saved his city. That's because they're not interested in being like Avram Vinu. That's why Schus cannot save them. They're not going to do tzedakah mishpat, so they'll just get mishpat. My words. All right. And also he references, so he writes later on in Parshas Chayei, which I did not look up, but it does not seem consequential to understand what's going on over here. Now, the way I'm learning is that Avram Avinu is going on a detour, explaining Avram Avinu's the way he does things, and that's why his kids, his kids will surely follow his way, and that's and that's where the schus will extend to those who want to be like him, and it's a good explanation why his schus can't protect stone, because that's the kasha, that's the unwritten question that the psukim are going to answer. Avram Avinu is a tzaddik. Why shouldn't his schus bail out stone and amorah that are on his turf, that are in the land that was promised him? Answer is because his schus can't protect people that don't want to be like him in any way, shape, or form. Now, with this, we could explain a medrash from the Yalkut, from he calls it Yalkut, it's the Bereshis Rabbah. So what does it say? Omar Kodesh Baruch Hu, Ganem Giliso, Mantor Giliso, Dina Shoston Lumachar, any Megalot. The Kasha that Kodesh said, how could I hide from Avram what I'm going to do? Well, what's the Kasha exactly? Kodesh said, how can I? Like, what's our Kodesh coming to answer? Why should he? Well, or why should he not reveal? So the Medrash explains why Kodesh was saying to himself, Kivyachol, was, listen, by Bris Mitzrayim I showed Avram Gehenim. I showed Avram Vinu Matan Torah. I showed the judgment of Stone, I shouldn't show him. So that's what Reg says. How could I hide from Avram after I told him about Gehenim, after I told him about Matan Torah? I shouldn't tell him about Stone? Wow. So the Zera Shimshon asked the obvious kasha. What does one have to do with the other? Crying out loud. Ma Kesher. Right, my dvar saying because look, I told him about Gehenim, told him about Matan Torah. How can I not tell him about Stone? What's the connection? We can say that the intent is as follows: Gehenim gisilo, I revealed to him Gehenim. She said, "More stay toveler shayvel mazeh." Well, Gehenim, there's a flip side to the idea of Gehenim. If you're going to suffer in the afterlife. So that could explain how you could have a good in this world. Like, why does the Rosh have a good in this world? Well, listen, I did what's over here has to be explained parenthetically. Is that everyone has probably done something good in their life, or has some schus from their avos. Let's just say, in some way, shape, or form, whatever it is. Right? So now Gehenim takes off the kasha of how a Russia could have a good in this world. It's not just. Well, listen, if you would see his afterlife, you'd understand how it's just that he gets the reward of the few things that are good about him right here in this world. Because take a look at his afterlife. So after you see his, how he's going to be spending time in Gehenim, you can understand how he could have a good in this world because he's paying for it super duper in the afterlife. Okay. So Gehenim actually answers a kasha of why Russia could have a good in Olam Hazeh. Madar Gili Silo Shayom Lasol Mochel Kabo Scharam Kachi Dakar Shor Pasudal Tochal. Now, Matan Torah could also answer a question of why tzaddikim have it bad in this world. Gehenim answers the question of why Rishonim have it good in this world. Matan Torah can actually explain, give an answer why tzaddikim have it hard in this world. Why tzaddikim have it hard in this world? Because Hayom Lasos because that's the Derech HaTorah. The Derech HaTorah is, schar mitzvahs b'hai al maleka. You only get paid for the Olam Haba. You're not getting paid for your mitzvahs in the Olam Hazeh. If you really are a tzaddik, you're a ben Torah, you don't get your schar with your mitzvahs in the Olam Hazeh. That's what the Russia gets, right? The derech of Torah is that the schar of the mitzvahs is in the Olam Haba, and also another thing. Kachi dardo. You want Torah, you have to be moiser nefesh for Torah. Possible. You have to live the hard life if you want to be kind of Torah. So Matan Torah, the mitzias of Torah, explains of why tzaddikim have it hard in Olam Hazeh. Right? Right, right. So now Avram, right? I gave him a good life in this world, also. He had his challenges, but ultimately, he did have great wealth and great influence. And especially he's going to also have good kids. He died the same of a good age. Ultimately, Avram Avinu had a good life. Despite the challenges. Should a tzaddikim eat two worlds? Should a tzaddikim have, tzaddikim want to have it good in both worlds? Listen, you get Olam Haba, you got to be willing to sacrifice Olam Hazeh. It's not probable, right, that you are such a super tzaddik that you deserve two universes, right? So, Kashir Bachar Dio Shastov Shetzav Romal Shosh Satilo Dilma Im Loy Solo Kokashaya Megid Susal Stom. Kamoshi Ginu Al Olam Yisrei Rebbe, Rebbe Shimon, B'Mesachas Pamatzia, Kaysa, the Mestach to come a guy Schuta Hanal Besamoch. Right? So now he's an amazing chap, right? So Avraham Avinu got super duper treatment because generally tzaddikim just get Olam Haba. He was a tzaddik that was zocher to Olam Hazeh and Olam Haba, right? So now you might think like this. Now he's still building up the question that just the opposite. If Hashem shows him that Sdom is going to get punished, Avram is going to feel really bad that he had such a good life. Because one thing about the tzaddikim is that the yisurim that befall them are kapora for their whole generation, right? Like we find that the schusim of Rebbe, protect his whole generation, and also schusim Rebbe Elazar Shimon, and also that all their the suffering. He brings a bunch of examples, right? Right, that the suffering tzaddik can protect the Am Yisrael, and they protect the door. So I'm always going to feel bad. You know what? Sdom is probably being wasted because I had a relatively easy life. And he's going to feel bad about that because if I would have had a little bit of suffering, I would have spared Sdom. Lochein Amar HaKosov, and therefore the pasuk Chasen Avram. So how can I hide from Avram the din of Sdom? But Masha Rosh, Nivrahu Bol, Zelmit Mei Kiadativ, Al Derach Darmim, Bemedrash, Al Pasan Kesa Tavad Sami, Kim Shabar Shuma Sabais, Al Koshku, Betfila, Val Koshku, Russell, Ribon Olam. Im Yeshalom Shis Pal Fedachid, Mam, Vatadesh, Ralo, Altitela. Rizadam Noeb, Ma, Basho, Tenlo, Shamar Sati, Bechol, Ish Bechol, Drachav. Right? So now, therefore, say, how could I hide from Avram the din of Sdom? Right, so now the answer to that question is, how can I hide from Avinu the din of Sdom, right? Is in a sense that what do you mean? If you tell him the din of Sdom, he'll feel bad about having a good life. Well, he won't feel bad about having a good life. If you tell him about this din of Sdom, right, you won't feel bad because as the pasuk goes on, right. He says, I know that he's going to command his kids to follow in my way. He's going to do good things with his wealth. He'll use it to be makar of people. He'll use it for chinuch, right? So it is like the medrash that's brought down in Pasuk in Ketzatav Azami that when Shlomo Melech built the base of Midrash, he davened to HaKadosh Baruch like this. Look, this is now going to be a makom tefillah, right? People are going to daven. This is the gateway to heaven, and people will be prompted to daven. Very effective. There is a basic mission on earth, prompts people down, let alone it is the portal to bring the tefillas up, right? And Shalom daven. Listen, people are going to daven for things that aren't really good for them. They're going to daven for things that aren't really good for them. So if a person davens for wealth and it's not good for him, don't grant his wish. Like let this place only be a makom of tefillah only for the absolute good. That when the tefillah is right, he's asking for the right thing. That tefillah grant. He's asking for something that's bad for him, like wealth would be bad for him. Don't grant that tefillah, right? All right. So Avram Avinu now, the way I understand where the Zera Shimshon is going with this, telling Avram Vinu, he's gonna, he's Makar people. He's Goy Godol, right? He uses his wealth for Kiruv, right? He uses wealth, he uses wealth for Chinuch, right? So that, he had it good in this world, not as like, you know, Stam, throw him some bakshish, some small change because he's a great guy, throw him some small change, I don't know if bakshish is the right term to use, kind of used as or given a small bribe, but whatever, yeah. So what it means is Avram Vinu is, he shouldn't think his wealth that was in any way a disbenefit for himself or disbenefit for his door. The chiddush is wasn't even disbenefit because he's going to do good things with it. He's going to do good things with it, right? And therefore his having it good was not at the expense of stone, because if it would be bad for him or bad for the door, because you need the tzite to suffer for the sake of the door, Avram would have not been zocher to his wealth, right? So please plug in the power, getting a notification of plugging the power cable before the screen goes blank. So hold on a second, please. Oh man, the plug is not in the wall. Oh, does it? Okay. Power is on. Okay, good. So somebody was reading. So that's why I could tell him about Stone, and I know he won't feel bad. He won't feel bad. He won't feel guilty, because his wealth that was not a bad thing. His wealth was for the overall good of humanity. Also, for Lord, says God, Dios mizal shavron. See, v'amashal zazom ki rabba v'amarabba bitam milael shashol lashon avar v'ama rabba b'lashon milrak v'shkas v'darmal rabba ras adam. Fi mad amrim b'medrash Rabbi Chanina Amar rabba v'holeches kasher. Yivgelech tov rabba b'tam lemata. So now Stone, on the other hand, did not want to convert. And they didn't want to be like considered from Avram's children, because a convert is called Ben Avram. No one knows last week's Zera Shimshon was dedicated to the memory of my friend Yaakov Ben Avram Ger Tzedek. And let this one be Liu Nishmas also. Anyway, so all Gerim are called Bnei Avram. They're all called. That's why the Rambam writes in a letter to Avadia Ger. Right, you should not think he's lowly because he's a convert. You're very high. You're directly a child of Avram Avinu, whereas other Jews, we descended from Avram Avinu long distance. All generations have been in between. You're directly a son of Avram Avinu, Ben Avram, right? So now, so it's like the Gerim are also Bnei Avram, just like his biological children, right? And that's why the schus of Avram could protect Gerim. Right, but they didn't want to convert and be considered from Zaro Shavram. Now, so now before he builds the point that he wants to, he throws out a question, and he says the grammar around the puzzle Zakastom ki Rabbah, it is a lot. It sounds like it has already become a lot. It sounds like Lashon Avar Rabbah. It is it has already reached a lot. Now, contrast that with the the way Rabba Rasa Adam Ba'aretz that's written by Dormar, that Rabba is written in a way that it's bad, and it is being bad, not that past tense, but currently bad, which would imply bad and getting worse, right? So now, okay. So what does he want with this pointing out this grammatical thing that the way Rabbah a lot is the way it's written by Stone, it's already a lot, as opposed to a lot is that the way it's written by Anshe Dor Hamabul, right? The Dor Hamabul is written like Rabbah. It is a lot, meaning it is a lot and counting. Means this point present tense and moving forward. Whereas by Stone, it has already been a lot. So he's not just pointing out this grammatical difference for grammar's sake. He's showing that 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 being the case, it actually makes a medrash difficult that says Rabba the Rabbi Hanina says the way that the evil of stone is bad and is a lot and increasing. Evil of stone is bad, is a lot and increasing. What do you mean? I just showed you how grammatically the Torah actually said the opposite. It is already a lot, past tense. And Rabbi Hanina and the is learning, Zakastom Rabba Ki Rabba, it is a lot, meaning a lot and increasing against the way the grammar of how Rabba is punctuated, with the Nakudas and Tamim. Right? So why is that? Betam l'ra kamim perak yud b'soim aloti sashem ashav kore be nami lo tashi. All right, right. Right. So now so he wants to say interesting pshat that of course the pshat is it is already bad, but the drush is and getting worse. What is that? So it says in last week's parsha, when Avraham Avinu liberated Stone, so the king of Stone, as if he has the right to demand anything, demands Temi Nefesh, give me the people. So here's the question: if the people now see that Avraham Avinu is a great guy and they want to be Mizgayer, join Avraham Avinu's monotheistic religion, would Avraham Avinu give them back to be under Stone? Of course not. Of course not. Of course, what would he tell them else? So say, hey, they have their own choice. Can't tell people what to do, right? So of course, Teli and Nefesh, that should give back to Stone, the people that he liberated. Avraham would only hand over to him the people that don't want to convert. The people that don't want to convert, he'll hand back to the king of Stone. The people that want to convert, how can he hand them over to Stone? Right? What we tell the king of Stone, whatever. We'll make our excuse, right? Can't tell grown men what to do, whatever it is, right? But for sure, when Melch Stone had telling enough, Avraham gave him all the Rishoyim, all the rotten apples, all those who didn't want to convert anyway. All right, so they wanted to become, join Avraham Avinu's religion. He gave them back to the king of Stone. Good. Okay, so that's Ki Rabba. They're already bad. The fact that they got Avraham Avinu saved them, so they got to know Avraham Avinu and got to see his virtue, so that what a great guy he is, and they're already bad that they chose not to convert. And so that's so okay. It was already bad mitzad that Avraham Avinu, they had the schus of meeting Avraham Avinu and seeing his greatness, and so they're already bad by refusing to convert. Right, and of course, you could be sure that when they stayed in Stone, they were bad and got worse. It brings a right from the Gemara, which I don't quite understand. I'm not going to look up the Gemara right now. So Daf Kudiches, that something could also imply past tense, but could be darshan on future tense also. I'm not going to look up the raya that he brings from Lo Tisa. It could also be Lo Tashi, but it's that the gist of it is that even if the Pashut is talking about past tense, you can also darshan that it also talks about future tense. So Pipshat already bad, and they're already very bad, and it's already very bad because they turned down the opportunity to convert. And Rav Hanina adds Al Pi Drush, and you could be sure that they only got worse when they stayed in Stone and chose to remain Stomites. Okay. ודאי שלמה דבר זה דווקא באספין ובאסמש, הרמים בגמר ביומה, חדשים לקטורס, בואו להפיסו, שהקטורס לא שינה באדם לעולם, מפני שמעשרס, תכסיב יסיב תור בערב, כל המספחך עבר שם חילו, שזה היה גרמה שרוב קוראים יהיו עשירים, ושוב יספר להם שעושה שיהיה טוב להם. So now you might ask another thing, right? He's building a construct. All right, so pause that. Right, so it's still already bad for refusing to convert, and you could be sure they went from bad to worse. Now, going back to the point that we raised before, right? Shlomo Melech, when he, built the Beis, he offered up a prayer that this place should be a makom of tefillah. A lot of people are going to ask for wealth. Only give it to them if it's good for them. Only give it to them if it's good for them. Why did Shlomo Melech feel compelled right now to? You thought this, at the time of the being based on Mikdash, people are going to ask for wealth. Only give them if it's good for them. Because the Gemara says that they they never let the Kohanim handle the Ketores. There's a Kohanim, the Kohen Gadol did the Ketores, but there's then there's the Kohanim that handled the Ketores. I don't remember, sorry. Like I said a million times, when I learn a sefer with you, it's a chavrusa, right? But I just know that there was a pious for the Ketores, whatever it was, whatever the Kohanim did for the Ketores, for the sake of the Ketores, right? There was so whatever it is. Let me show you, because I believe it's only the Kohen Gadol himself that did the Ketores per se, twice a day. But the Kohanim were involved in the Ketores. I can't remember what they did. I just don't remember off the top of my head. No, but that was part of the pie. So they had a lottery on every single day. So now they only allowed new people every day that never did it before to, do the pious. Anyone who did it, he never did it again, right? Because everyone was dying, and everyone should get a turn to do the Ketores. Why? Because Ketores makes you rich, right? Anyone who's involved in the Ketores, to whatever extent, the Kohanim, the Kohane Hedyotis were involved in it. Everyone who gets it has a chance that the Ketores gets rich. Because the Apostle says, Yoshu Keturah Bat Pecha, by Shem Levi, they put the Ketores in your, Kivyochel, metaphorically speaking, in the nostrils of the Shekhinah. It's just a metaphor. What they call it, anthropomorphism. Baruch Hashem blesses his army, the Levium, the Kohanim, right? So talk about that, Baruch Hashem Chelo, right? So we learn from that the ones who are involved in Ketores, they get the Baruch Hashem and they'll become rich, right? So that to be fair, for lack of a better word, equity, I'm kidding, these are treif ideas, right? But still. All Kohanim should get their chance. So the pious every day was between Kohanim that never did it before. And the Gemara says, no one ever did it twice. Right? Everyone should get a chance. The pious was always, and there were always people begging, for the opportunity, right, to do the Ketores because he gets rich. So you have all these Kohanim, so he wants to tie it. It's a chap. It was on his mind because you have all these Kohanim trying to get rich because of the Ketores. Right? We both only give them that richness that they're trying to get through the Ketores, right? Only give it to them if it's really good for them, right? We didn't say Yesh Lefarsha Pasuk, right? And with this, we could explain the Pasuk. It's Pasuk Mishlei Ki Meshuvas Psoim Tahar Gem Shavas Ksilim told them, right? The foolishness, I think that's what it means. Foolishness or the waywardness of the fools will kill them. But Shavas Ksilim, but the tranquility of the stupid ones, to of them, it's going to cause them to be obliterated. So he asked a simple question. Two different terms are used. Tahar game, the waywardness of the fools will kill them, and Vishavas Ksilim, right, and the tranquility of the stupid ones, Tabim, is going to cause them to be obliterated. So why is it by the by tranquility it says they will be obliterated? But doing bad stuff, being wayward, they are killed. So by the Meshuva, by doing wayward things, they are killed. And by the Shavuot, just having it good, Ta'ab them gets them to be obliterated. So Shavas Ksil told them min olam haba. Right. So you say like this is talking about what it's talking about Bolam Hazeh, what's it about? Meshuvas Psayim, right? The evil doing of the fools, which are because they're Edom Chotem Kenechas Bo Ruach Shtus, right? So Meshuvas Rishayim Targen kills them. Meshuvas obviously we said wayward ways, something evil. Targen cause you to be chai, so killed as in ra'ui to be killed, ra'ui befitting to be killed. Like Rishayim b'chayim kruyim mason. Rishayim in their own lifetime are considered as if they're dead, right? Because Rishayim, why they're considered as if they're dead? Because they ought to be dead. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives them extensions. Why? Well, one of the reasons for the extension is, right, because he might have done something good. He might say his guy get paid for it. So we don't want him to get Olam Haba, so we pay him back for it in Olam Hazeh, right? And that's Shalvasim, the tranquility of the stupid ones. Because of Russia, he should know, hey, I did bad, so why do I have it good? Oh, I'm being paid back for my mitzvahs. So I'll have nothing in the afterlife. So, but yeah, so you should do this and awaken to do tshuva, right? But they don't. They stay stupid, willfully stupid, and that's what causes them to be obliterated, right? Lost. Because when they die, they're not going to Olam Haba. They either go to Gehenna or they're totally obliterated in the most literal sense, which is even worse, right? So Meshuvas Psoim Targim, so the evil doing of the fools kills them, makes them Chayv Misa. So why don't they die? Because they may have done a mitzvah. So that's Shav Shoim. The fact that they have it good, they have peace, and they're stupid. They're too stupid to make that. Hey, I shouldn't be having it good. That's what causes them to get lost, that they have no Olam Haba, right? That's why when they die, they have really, their file has been deleted. But the pasuk goes on to say, right? But he who listens to me, listens to the Torah, will dwell with security. So either way, look at Shim, if he's going to be, he will dwell with security. That means he will be rich, so he has no worries. Money solves all problems, as we know, right? So he's tzaddik v'tovlo, be it tzaddik v'tovlo, tzaddik who has a good yishkobet, of course, so he will dwell with security, k'moshem razal, right? As Chazal say, it's all in the same place. Right, so Yivarach Hashem, is what's is b'mam with Ma'ariv Yishmach, and He will guard you min hamazikim. So v'vim yetzayel, but if God forbid, hey, you're a tzaddik, but you're going to be a tzaddik v'ralo, you're not going to have a lot of property, not going to have a lot of assets. Yishkol betach, you still will dwell with security, b'tzach, in another way. So shum pachad mor, you have nothing to be afraid of. Because someone who has a lot of money is always afraid of what's going to happen with his wealth. The being full, the satiety, right? The being fullness of a rich man does not let him sleep at night. He's always worried about what's going to happen to all the stuff that he owes. Even at night, right? He also doesn't know his heart does not rest. Right, so you're spared, the daig of Marchos Nadav, and another thing, you don't have to be worried that maybe your goodness is really your Olam Haba. It's not your Olam Hazeh, it's your Olam Haba. Well, the rich tzaddik has to worry about it. Maybe I'm getting a scarf from my mitzvahs Olam Hazeh. The poor tzaddik doesn't have to worry about it. So he has a different type of security. Security that he doesn't have the marbet chasim marbet ID. He doesn't have the fear that he's eating his Olam Haba his own lifetime. He'll also be sure, since you don't have a comfortable life, so you're getting kapar, you're not going to see Gehenna. Misharim pachad ra, shein ra el Gehenna. So he also is tranquil from fearing evil. Shein ra el Gehenna koshar zol kama makomas. Right. Right, so there's nothing nothing other than Gehenna, right? All right, and that's the point that he made. He wanted to right. He wanted to revisit. He does this sometimes. It's one thing leads on. He wanted to revisit and say some Torah on what Shlomo meant about why David at this moment based on Mikdash about don't accept the tefillas of a guy who wants to be rich if his rich is bad. And once he was in that, he wanted to discuss how riches sometimes could be good, riches sometimes be bad, right? Right, and Tzaddik V'Tovlo, Tzaddik V'Ralo, and Avram was a Tzaddik V'Tovlo. So that goes back to Avinu was meant to be a Tzaddik V'Tovlo, and the Rebbe was explaining that, why Avram Avinu was meant to be a Tzaddik V'Tovlo and doesn't have to feel guilty, right? Doesn't have to feel guilty about having it good because maybe if he had it bad he would have saved Stone. He was a tzaddik v'tovlo. He was meant to have the riches because he did good things with it. He did his kiruv, he did his chinuch. Right, and whereas the people of Stone had no interest in any way being like Avram Avinu. So that's why schus couldn't bleed over to them because they already had, I guess to tighten it, they already had their chance to convert and join him when he liberated them, and all the ones that stayed in Stone refused that. And they just doubled down on their wickedness. So they refused being like Avram Avinu, refused to follow him, doubled down on it. That's why schus can't protect them. And he didn't have to have it bad for their sake because his wealth wasn't something extra. His wealth was for the cosmic good, besod tzaddik v'tovlo, because he was only going to do good things with his wealth. Halavai Aleinu. Okay, we completed a whole piece of Zera Shimshon in one session. All right, we should all be zocher to be tzaddikim v'tov lehem. Amen. Ken Yiratzon.